Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take complex, crucial source material and really strip it down to the essential insights you need.
To get you up to speed fast.
Exactly. And today, we are diving deep into nonprofit fundraising, specifically that challenging, sometimes kind of opaque world of grant proposal writing.
Right.
But if you're thinking we're going to talk about, grammar or fancy language, hold that thought.
Yeah, that's not where the magic is.
Not at all. Our sources are absolutely unanimous on this.
Yeah.
The real key to success isn't in the writing. It's in the foundation you build before you even type a single word.
That's the whole mission for today, right? To synthesize why grant research is the single most important step in this entire process.
It's the core premise.
Absolutely. The foundation of good grant proposal writing is, without a doubt, high-quality, targeted grant research. I mean, it's the difference between buying a lottery ticket and walking into a club where you already know the password.
I like that analogy.
It's really the only path, according to our materials, to that winner-winner chicken dinner of consistent funding.
And since we know a lot of you are looking for those actionable steps, we want to point you somewhere right away. For educational videos, for guides, for way more on grant proposal writing, you have to check out grants.courses.
That's the hub we're drawing from today.
Grants.courses. Okay, let's unpack this with, a dose of reality. Most nonprofits are pretty resource-strapped.
To say the least.
Right, so the temptation must be huge to just start writing. Skip the deep research. What is the immediate cost of doing that?
The cost is steep. And it's on two levels, really, internal and external.
Okay.
Internally, you're just pouring irreplaceable time and effort into a document that's hugely resource-intensive. You're pulling staff away from the actual mission work.
So you're hurting your own operations just by writing the proposal?
Potentially, yes. But externally, and this is maybe even more critical, going after the wrong funders is a profound waste of the grant seeker's time, the people reviewing these things.
The people on the other side of the table.
Yeah, exactly. They get thousands of these.
Right.
And if you send them something that, clearly violates their mission or their geographic focus, you're basically signaling that you don't respect their time.
Wow.
And that actively, directly damages your reputation.
So it's not just about getting a no. You're actually building a negative track record.
You are. Program officers start to recognize your organization's name as, one of the ones that just sends out untargeted, speculative stuff.
And I imagine that reputation's pretty hard to shake once you have it.
Very hard, which is why the whole goal of this research is to find funders where there is an absolute verifiable fit with your mission.
A fit?
Alignment isn't a bonus, it's the ticket to get in the door. Without it, you are guaranteeing failure and you're burning goodwill you might need later.
Okay, so if the risk of skipping research is that catastrophic, let's pivot. What's the payoff? Our sources kind of categorize these benefits. Let's walk through them, because this is about seeing research as a strategic tool, not just some boring checklist item.
It is a tool. And the first benefit is all about avoiding those technical pitfalls. It's about understanding specific requirements.
Due diligence.
Total due diligence. Every single funder has specific criteria. We're talking project types, grant lengths, and the big one, budget ranges.
Can you give us an example? How does a technical requirement just immediately derail a proposal?
Sure. Let's say you need $75,000 for a 3-year program.
Okay.
If you find a foundation that says right on their site, their max grant is $10,000 a year, and they only fund, say, capital improvements, not programs, you have to know that before you start.
You're instantly disqualified.
Instantly. Researching those needs lets you triage them out of your prospect list immediately. It's a huge time saver.
That makes perfect sense. So once we know we're eligible, what's next? The sources say payoff number 2 is about tailoring the pitch.
Yes. This is where the real detective work comes in. It's not enough to just be eligible. You have to speak their language.
So what does that mean in practice?
It means gathering really granular info. What were their historic grants? What specific words are they using right now about their funding priorities?
Not just what they say they fund, but what they've actually funded in the past.
Exactly. A funder might say they support youth engagement, but if your research shows that 90% of their money went to after-school coding clubs,
And you run a wilderness camp.
right, then you need to frame your camp in a way that highlights, the analytical skills or the leadership development that aligns with their real demonstrated focus. You have to connect those dots for them.
That's a great nuance. And what about when funders change their focus? I know the sources mentioned that.
A critical point. Proper research is your update mechanism. You have to check recent annual reports, news releases, because if you pitch their 2018 focus in 2023, you just look out of touch.
You look like you didn't do your homework.
Precisely.
Okay, moving to payoff number 3. This one feels a little different. Proving the need.
Correct. This is about external validation. You can't just say your project is important. You have to prove it.
With data.
With hard data. And gathering that data is a research task. You need local literacy rates, poverty stats, census data, health reports, whatever it is that shows objective evidence that the problem you're solving is real and that your solution will make a measurable difference.
Got it. Now, the 4th payoff moves into the human element, which is fascinating. It's about network building. How does scanning documents lead to relationships?
It's basically a strategic map. A good research scan identifies the key people board members, program officers,
The decision makers.
the decision makers, and that info immediately sparks the question for your team. Who do we know? Who does our board know that knows these people?
So you're looking for a warm introduction.
You're looking for the best way in. Because many grants, especially from private foundations, they really happen after some kind of initial contact has been made. Research gives you the intelligence to find the right person and the right way to approach them.
It provides the intel to open the door.
It does, and that's how you start to build a positive reputation. It all synthesizes together. You find the right funders, you understand their rules, and you communicate a tailored, convincing pitch that shows you respect what they do.
We've covered the why and the huge payoff. Let's talk about the sheer scope of this work.
Yeah.
Because our sources make it really clear this is more than a quick Google search. There's a lot to this, and it requires some specialized skills.
That's a key takeaway. There's lots more to grant research than meets the eye, and it really requires some training.
Okay, so let's get specific. One of the tactics mentioned is using a 990 PF for prospect research. For our audience, that might sound like, total jargon.
It does, but it's so powerful.
What is a 990 PF and why is it so valuable?
Okay, so simply put, the 990 PF is the public tax form that private foundations have to file.
It's public record.
It's a public record.
Yeah.
And it tells you things their glossy website won't. First, you see their precise giving history, who they funded last year, and for exactly how much.
Numbers.
The real numbers. Second, you can calculate their actual average grant size. And third, you see their assets. It's critical intelligence that cuts right through the marketing language and shows you their actual behavior.
That's invaluable. It's like financial detective work.
It really is. And the targeting can get very specific. The sources also talk about how to find community foundations in your area.
Which are often overlooked, I'd imagine.
Totally. But they are essential because their funds are often restricted to a specific geographic region, so your local project has a much better chance of aligning with them than with some huge national funder.
And there's also the idea of finding foundations that have funded similar organizations, right?
Yes, that's about pattern recognition. If they funded a food bank one county over, they're probably interested in food insecurity in your region too. You're researching proven interests, not just keywords.
I noticed the source material isn't just about these external tools. It's also about a mindset and internal preparation.
It has to start there.
Tell me about this analogy I saw. How is nonprofit grant research like buying a house?
I love that one. It perfectly captures the mindset. When you buy a house, you don't just sign the papers, you do your due diligence.
The inspection.
The inspection, checking the neighborhood, making sure it fits your long-term needs. Grant research is the same. It's the inspection you do before you commit a massive amount of your resources to writing that proposal.
That's a great way to frame it. And that work has to start internally, right? The sources talk about creating a needs list versus a wish list.
Yes, that creates focus. A needs list is your non-negotiable mission-critical stuff, salaries, core program costs. The wish list is, a new van, better software.
Nice to have.
Exactly. You have to define your true needs first, because that's what you go looking for funding for. A proposal for a wish list item will just lack the urgency and the weight it needs to succeed.
So the whole structured process, it's not chaotic.
Not at all. And it extends into a long-term strategy. There are resources on how to create relationships with grant makers, and one title I really like is Make New Friends, but Keep the Old. A case for consistent prospecting.
I love that. It's not a one-and-done transaction.
Never. Grant funding is ultimately about sustained professional relationships. The research is the engine that drives that whole strategy from, insider tips all the way down to specific formulas like the R in the GRANTS formula, which is research your needs. It covers everything.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, let's bring it all home.
Let's do it. The core insight from all of this material is that grant research is not a chore you do before the real work begins. It is the real work. It's the critical engine.
The engine that helps you find, understand, and secure the funding.
Exactly. It's the only way to ensure that alignment we talked about, which maximizes your chance for success and, just as importantly, protects your reputation.
A perfect summary.
Yeah.
And for you, the learner, as you get ready to put this into practice, here's a final thought for you, drawn right from the sources.
Right.
Time is money in the nonprofit world. The sources mention a couple of resources to get you started fast. So if you were to prioritize, say, this afternoon, would you start with 4 tips for better grant searches, which is about 11 minutes?
Just a quick primer.
Or would you jump straight into how to find new good fit grant funders in under 60 minutes?
Think about it. What initial time investment is going to give the biggest, most targeted return for your organization right now? Making that choice is your first act of good grant research.
And to access all of those educational videos, the guides on the 990 PFS, and so much more, you should head over right now to grants.courses.
That's grants.courses. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive. We'll see you next time.